What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Enigmatica 6, and today we're going to be getting infinite nether stars. So last episode we started working in this room down here, mainly focusing on setting up the automated wither killer that is honestly working flawlessly. I am super happy with how it turned out. I ran it a couple more times after last episode to get a few more nether stars because we're going to need them for today, as you'll eventually see. But this thing is great. It is so simple. All it does is just put down the blocks needed to spawn in a wither and then kill it right when it spawns, pretty much, or right when it finishes charging up, I should say, and then just dumps the nether star back into our refined storage system. So really all you could ask for from an automated wither killer, and it's nice and clean and simple. I put down a black relay right here just to make it a little bit cleaner at the floor, since we don't have facades and we could see all the wiring going on down there that really did not look nice. And I think that's kind of where we're going to leave it for now. So this portion of the setup is done. But if you remember last episode, I said that this was going to be a two-part project. And the second part is going to be going in right back here. And from looking at this, you guys can probably already tell what we're going to be doing today. But if you cannot, we're going to be using resourceful bees to get pretty much all the things we need to continue spawning in a bunch of wither. Now, you need two things to spawn in a wither, obviously. It's going to be the wither skulls and the soul sand, and we're going to be dealing with the wither skulls today, because those we can get infinite amounts of using resourceful bees. I will say, I will deal with the soul sand, probably off camera because it's pretty boring, but it's very easy to do. You're just going to use Botania to literally duplicate soul sand by expending a bit of mana and a conjuration catalyst below the mana pool you're dumping them into. You can easily set up a thing that reads how many soul sand you have in your refined storage system, and then when it's below a certain level, send a redstone signal, which will allow some of these to start getting dropped into a mana pool that's constantly full, duplicating them, and then once they get picked back up and they fill up your refined storage system again, then it will eventually stop. So very easy to deal with that. Not going to do that on camera, but we're going to deal with the wither skull issue because that one is a little bit more complicated because it requires a very, very high tier bee and some automation to get it from having a bee to having the honeycomb to having the fragments of the wither skull to then eventually having the wither skull that goes into the system over here. Along with that, we're also going to get a couple other bees. So if we take a look at my inventory right now, you can see JEI up here at the top left has a lot of bees in it. And that is because the bees that we're going for today, we cannot find in the world, and we can't simply get them by just like one or two different kinds of breeding. We need to breed like 10 different kinds of bees to get there. And along the way, we're going to get a couple other ones that I really want. So things like the quartz bee, which I really, really need. We're also going to get things like the netherite bee, which is one that I really, really want too. And so we're going to put all of those bees that are, I don't want to say ominous, but I keep using that word to describe this room down here, but I'll say all the bees that you would think probably should reside in the nether will go down here. So they'll go in this room, which will eventually be an apiary. We'll be setting that up today. And I'm really happy with how this looks. It's got some grimwood in there. It's got some of the stems going on in there. It's got some regular dirt netherrack in there. I don't know if this is going to form into a perfect apiary. Honestly, I think it should. My main concern is the floor going on right now. Obviously, you know, we've got the dirt in here because we need some blocks to hold like a wither rose or something. The netherrack, I don't know if that's going to work. And the crimson nylium, I don't know if that's going to work. So we're kind of going to have to see if there's any blocks that are invalid for this. I don't even know if we can have a soul lantern in here or not. But that is yet to be seen. We'll wait for that later, and we'll either have a very excited yes moment, or we will have a very, very depressed no moment when it doesn't work. I'm really afraid it's not going to work. If I'm being honest, I'm afraid it's not going to work, but we'll worry about that in the future. Okay, we're not going to worry about that now because there's other stuff we have to take care of. So we're going to take a quick trip upstairs, and we're going to go see the bee setup that we currently have going from a couple episodes ago. So there's a couple things we got to use this for before we get into our setup today. And it really hasn't changed that much. I decorated things a bit more outside between episodes to make it look nicer, but it's just kind of been running. And as you can see, I have upgraded the storage in here. So there's a lot of honeycomb, and I did add a breeder in here. And this has been running. It's out of bottles right now, but there's a fair bit of stuff in here. And I've been consistently coming out here, refilling the bottles, taking stuff from here, dumping them into our refined storage system, even dumping some of these honeycomb into our storage system, and all of that because we need honeycomb and beeswax to craft the highest tier apiary, along with a bunch of nether stars, which is why we set up the wither killer before setting up the bees for this. So thought ahead on that one. 2020 foresight, not hindsight, so we're smart, but we should have everything needed now to get to a tier 4 apiary, and that's going to require us to set up a higher tier centrifuge so we can process the blocks of honeycomb. All of that stuff we're going to be doing today, but I wanted to point out that I did in fact spend a ton of time here setting this up and AFKing, which is why the time in a bottle has accrued probably about 40 hours on top of what it was when we set up the initial bee setup that's in front of me right now. So a lot of time has gone by, which is why we have all of this, and that's great because it puts us in a good position to do the crafting and the breeding for today's episode. So one thing I want to note real quick, because we're about to do a serious montage of both of those things, is there's a lot of breeding that goes into making these bees, and I'm being serious. It took me probably about 5 hours to find all of the bees necessary to start this process, and if we take a look at my backpack, they are right here. We got the beeper, we don't need that guy. We got the icy bee, we got the sooty bee, the water bee, more sooty bee, another sooty bee, hellish zombie bee, ender bee. So I grabbed out every bee. Oh, we also have the obsidian bee was one that we got as a reward from one of the quests. Either way, we got pretty much all the bees that are needed in this entire breeding chain that could be found in the world. But that means that we need to do breeding after breeding after breeding to get all the way up the chain to the bee that we want. Now, I do want a couple of these, but the main focus today is the wither bee. That's what we're going for. So what I'm going to do is a quick montage of all the breeding of the bees, which I'm probably going to try to do in here. And then we are going to, or you know what, I might set up the apiary, get it going downstairs, then do the breeding down there because that might be a little bit easier. But either way, we're going to do that. And I'm going to montage all of it because obviously crafting is boring. And unfortunately, bee breeding is boring too. It's not boring for the bees, as I'm sure most of you can understand why, right? They're having a good time. They're loving it, literally. But we are not. It's really boring because we're just sitting here. And so it took forever to gather the bees. It's going to take forever to breed the bees. Man, this mod is a lot of just sitting around waiting, and then you get a huge payoff at the end. So I'm going to go do that real quick. You guys can enjoy a quick montage while I spend about 2 hours of my life doing that, and then we will be back. Okay, guys, so it is finally done. Now, I know that was probably decently quick for you guys, but my God, that was like an hour for me of breeding and mutating and running around and getting the glowstone bee from upstairs and putting down all the right flowers in here and mushrooms and fungus and all that for pollination. And it was just such a chore. So it is done now, though. If we take a look, where is it? It's in here somewhere. Please tell me it's in here somewhere. We got the netherite bee there. Sooty bee, glowstone bee, water bee, blaze bee. This is freaking me out. Oh my gosh, it's over here. Okay, it's the wither bee. It was on the far left the last one I checked. The wither bee is here. We only need one for now. I can go get more later, but for now, one should be sufficient. We have a tier 3 apiary in here. I did not make tier 4 because I actually didn't have enough beehives in my storage for that, but I can always upgrade it later. And we have the storage and the breeder hidden down here. But let me get rid of this dumb thing right here. If you don't know, this is the ender beacon. Ha ha ha. Funny play on words. But this is needed to prevent the ender bees from teleporting. And that was one of the last mutations we needed, was to use the netherite bee to transform or mutate the ender bee into the wither bee. So this thing needs to go away now. It expends honey. Is the sound going to go away? There we go. Okay, it faded. That was really annoying. But it expends honey to prevent the bee from teleporting. So if you're going to use ender bees, you need to have that. And I just wanted to be sure that ours wasn't going to teleport anywhere and we lose it because it was really annoying to get. So it's done now, though. And as you can see, there were some casualties. Now, there's a lot of stuff in here we're not going to need because really all I care about having is I think, did we get rid of the quartz bee, or is that still somewhere in here? I can't remember if that was one we bred or mutated. It looks like it might have been a mutation. But I think the only thing we need for the wither bee is the wither rose. And so I only really care to have one of those in here. I'll leave some extra decorations around in here, but for the most part, I'm kind of going to pick these things up, and we're going to get rid of this glowstone and probably put down some netherrack or maybe some more crimson nylium. I don't really know. Either one will work, but I want to fix that right now. So we'll put down some of the crimson nylium right here. We'll just get this glowstone out of the way, and that's probably going to invalidate the apiary for now. Should be good to go again. Yep. And you can see we got some of these honeycomb in the storage here from doing our work, because there were bees chilling in here. And, oh, that's not what we want to do. Okay. So it should be good in here now. I think this is the only one that matters. So if we really wanted to, I think we should be good to just import our wither bee in here and let it go. Now, I don't know what this lock does again. I'm really not too sure, but I think it takes a few ticks in the hive initially, and then its tick time is going to go way up, I think, once it goes into the hive after pollinating the first time. So if we take a look at the wither honeycomb and we look at the uses for this, if we were to process this in a centrifuge, we have a 30% chance of getting 9 wither skull fragments, which craft into a wither skull, 9 to 1. So we have a 30% chance per honeycomb of getting a wither skull, which is great. Now, obviously, we need to process that in a centrifuge, and honeycomb blocks cannot be processed, as far as I'm aware, in the regular powered centrifuge, which means we need to step it up a notch. And I actually want to put the centrifuge somewhere where I think we, might be able to access the top of it over here. I don't know, but, maybe I'll just put it fully underground and have it process it there. So we're going to be putting it over here, and we're going to cover this all up eventually. But if we take a look at the quests for this, we've completed this one, so we can get those. Did we get any cool bee from that? We got a pigman bee. I think that was one that we didn't have before, probably, maybe. Either way, maybe it'll come in handy eventually. But if we take a look at the quest, the multi-block centrifuge quest is right here, and it's basically saying that the next tier up is going to be the multi-block one, and we need to collect all the necessary blocks, being centrifuge controller and 35 centrifuge casing. And then we need to go look at our bee book, our 50 Shades of Bees. So we're going to do the crafting, and then we've got the 50 Shades of Bees right here. Up, we need 1 centrifuge controller, and that's going to take a whole lot of other things. So we're going to need a regular centrifuge for that. We are going to need a redstone comparator, and then we're going to need a bunch of centrifuge casing. I think it was 4 if we looked right. So let's make some blocks of iron here, and then that means we're probably going to, I'm just going to make a stack of this, and then we'll dump it back in here. We will make the centrifuge controller, and then we'll pull out the casing, and we'll be all good. There we go. Okay, so we should have everything we need. And now we can complete this. We get a legendary Resourceful Bees loot box, which is cool. And we get some epic Oreos, which is awesome. So let's see. What do we get from this? We got another ghast bee. That's awesome. It's actually one of the higher tier bees. Okay, so we already had one. But that's actually cool, because ghast tiers are another thing that I would love to have more of. So that's actually a great reward. I'm thrilled with that. Okay. So now we have all the blocks needed to assemble this, and if we take a look at the 50 Shades of Bees, the multi-block centrifuge page basically says we can visualize it, but it's a 3x4x3 with the controller 1 block up from the bottom of any of the faces. So we're going to just assemble that right here, and we can just kind of dig down. Now, I don't want it to be visible, so that means this needs to be 5 deep from the top, so we'll need another 2 right here, and I think that right there should be good. We'll start putting this together down here. So all of these just like that. And then I believe on one of these faces, we need to have it. So let's do it on this. Let's do it on this face right here. So this is where we are going to have it. And I don't know if this is meant to be hollow or not, but we'll just mine this out over here. I don't know if the center is supposed to be hollow or not. So there's the centrifuge controller. We'll see, I guess, when it either forms or it doesn't. But obviously the top is not going to be. And is that it? No? I can't access anything? Okay, we're going to assume that the center does need to be filled then. There we go. Okay, awesome. So this is now the centrifuge that can process the higher tier. So it's going to be faster. Obviously, we have 3 slots in here, and we are able to process the honeycomb blocks. Now, I don't know if I've already mentioned that, but the lower tier one cannot process the honeycomb blocks, which is a problem. So even though, you know, that one's really slow, even if you wanted to keep using that, you wouldn't be able to use it with honeycomb blocks. So we're going to use this one now. Now, my main question is, I don't know where this pulls and pushes items from. So I'm going to assume that we can just kind of slap down some piping over here. And this was probably a mistake. Oh no, thing's burning me. This is probably a mistake to set it up like this, but we're going to kind of work our way around over here and see if we can put down the piping using a mechanism pipe. I need to obviously sort out some of this junk in my inventory. Did I just put my cloud in a bottle back in here? Okay. Did I? What? I felt like I just put my cloud in a bottle back in here, but maybe I'm being stupid. Time in a bottle. Why did I think it was cloud in a bottle? That's a different thing. I kept trying to search cloud. Time in a bottle. I did put that back in there. Okay. So we need the ultimate. No, not ultimate. We need the logistical pipes. Are those it? No, that's the. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the names. Well, we'll just look through here. Okay. Mechanical. No. Yes, it is the logistical transporter. I was reading that so wrong. Okay. My gosh, it's been a rough day, guys. Been a rough week of work so far. And we have the morphing tool. I made it. You guys suggested it. I made it, finally. So now we are going to set this to pull. No? Can it? There we go. To pull. And it puts them in here. Okay. Okay. Now we got to get this thing power. So maybe I just want to kind of connect these over here with this over here, because we're going to be pushing these into our refined storage system. So let's see if we have enough universal cable, ultimate universal cable, and if we can ditch that. So we will run this, and I'm going to try and make this pretty clean down here. So let's just clear out this area right here and run this along like that. Is this good to work now? Yes. What? Why is it doing that? This is the same thing that happened that other time with the Enigmatica thing. It's trying to let me place it down, but it's not. Whoa. Dude, that's so OP. That is so OP. That we processed one of them and we get 9 ancient debris. That is so overpowered. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, you can see this is already a lot faster. And if we look at its internal storage, we do need to supply this with with bottles. So that's something that I will have to worry about later with some of the refined storage stuff. But now we need to pull the items out of here. And so what I'm thinking we are going to do is maybe an interface from refined storage, possibly. I mean, we could just pull the items from an importer, I guess. But if we're trying to fill that, let's see. So we have an importer. So if we take a look, the only problem is I don't know if this would auto input. So we would need to put this here, and then you would need to have it so this is... Why did that stop? Did I accidentally click this before? I must have accidentally clicked that before. Okay, well, either way. So this one, we could easily pull items from it, but this one would allow items to be put in there too. So I'm thinking you would still need to set it up differently. So for now, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to put the importer, and then we need some refined storage cables to cable this over there. And then I'll worry about automating the bottles going in there later. But for now, we will just bring these over right here. And is that going to be able to pull these out? No? Oh, it is. It's just really, really, really slow. So do we have any speed upgrades in here? Because we're probably going to need those. We have speed upgrades, and do we have any stack upgrades? That's another one. We do. Okay, so we'll do some speed upgrades and a stack upgrade. So stack upgrade, 3 speed upgrades. There we go. All the items pulled out, put into our refined storage system. Okay, so we got that, and it's just a mess down here now, so we're going to have to fix the flooring and all of that jazz. Let's quickly do that. Let's just assume that limestone is okay to put down here, and we will just, you know, kind of fill it in so it doesn't look super disgusting. So there we go. And yeah, we'll just we'll just do it do it like that. Okay, so that should be good enough for now, and then we'll just kind of repair the area up here then too. Oh, that needs to be a different block. I thought that might be the case. So this needs to be like a brick of some kind. Okay, so now we can just kind of place these back down up here in an assorted fashion so that it doesn't look, nope, that's not the right one, so that it doesn't look super weird. So we'll just kind of sprinkle these around. Got the cracked bricks there, and there. Okay, so now it's all taken care of. Now, obviously, I need to kind of fix these walls right here because these stairs are not, you know, looking too hot. So maybe we just, for the time being, kind of go like that, since they're not being attached to other stairs in the same fashion that they were before. But now we got our B working in there, and so it should be going good, right? If we take a look, so it's, oh my gosh. Okay, so that was my mistake there. We didn't want to keep it in the hive. I don't know how many ticks it's going to take on its own, but now that bee is good to go. So the rest of these bees can kind of just be dumped back into our bag right here for the time being, because I'm not really going to use them. All this junk can be dumped back into our refined storage, or refined storage system. And we need to check that we are getting the wither skull fragments. So it's going to take a little bit because we only have 3 right here, and these are 3 that I manually got myself. But I'll dump the rest of this stuff in there, and then we need to head upstairs because we need to do some automated crafting to get the wither skulls. So I'm going to charge really quick over in our power room my crafting grid, and then we're going to set up some auto crafting. So over here, we need to make a pattern for a wither skeleton skull, with the recipe being this. I think it doesn't need to be exact. We can leave it like that. So now we have this. So this is a crafting recipe that's just going to simply get put right over here into our crafter. That's not, you know, pushing into any machine or anything. And now we need to go and put a crafting upgrade. I think this should work. So we need to put a crafting upgrade into one of the things that is pushing into our system down here for the wither. Let's just come down. Nope, that was the wrong side to choose. Let's just come down over. Oh my gosh. Where do I guess I need to go all the way around this. Awkward. Okay. We're coming down here again. I just fixed the floor and we are tearing into it again because we need to get under our system over here. Okay. So we need to get to this, and I don't know if a crafting upgrade works with this, because theoretically what should be happening is it's trying to craft wither skeleton skulls to put into this right here. Now, I don't know what happens. It should if we try to... So let's say we take out our wither skulls in here, and we take out our wither skulls in here. So if the crafting upgrade works in here, it should try and call a recipe to craft it from the rest of our system. So let's go check if that's the case. If we go to our crafting monitor. So it is not. Now, we might have to use the interface then, because up here, that's how we do this, right? We have the crafting upgrade. The interface has its internal buffer. And so we may have to use that because it doesn't look like the crafting upgrade is working because it's not trying to request it. So I'm going to fiddle around with this for a minute and see if I can get it working, and then we'll hop back. Aha! It did happen. So I guess we got lucky, and the first honeycomb block that the bee put out after I said I was going to wait for it ended up making the 9. So the second one got put in here. So even though it's not constantly sending out crafting requests, it's making them once the items are in the system to craft with. So if I dump these in here now, this should fill in the rest. So the crafting request is working with the crafting upgrade. And now you can see it's storing 1 skull in here ready to refill, which is great. If we wanted to put this at 64, we could, and it would hold 64 in here and all that stuff. But it's fine the way it is for now. We eventually need to deal with the soul sand and get that fully automated. But again, I'm probably going to do that off camera. It's Botania stuff. It's kind of boring. It's not a huge setup and complicated, but maybe I'll cover it in a separate video. But before the end of the video, because there is one more thing I want to touch on, and I am going to quickly fill this in while we go and deal with this, and just making sure I filled in everything correctly. Okay, so we should close the door over here too. A couple episodes ago, we worked on our Atom godshard automation, And I told you guys that there were a couple things that I wanted from a Tom. So this chest right here is containing all the things that I want. It looks like I've gotten pretty much every single one. So I wanted the necklace. So we got that. I wanted one of these rings. I wanted one of these rings. And then I wanted one piece of the raw set, each piece of the raw set. And so now we are good to, I guess, throw this stuff on. So if we take a look, I want this in the cosmetic armor slot. Oh, yes. That's the legs. There we go. Yes. That's awesome. That is so cool. Okay. So now we look way cooler, and we can go in and we can replace this with this. So now we have regeneration, and we can put in our rings. So where would those go? We got bracelet, rings right here. Oh, we can have 3 rings. What? Our dude's balling out. So we have those rings, and then we'll get rid of the feral claws, and we can get rid of our cloud in a bottle. And there we go. Look at us. We are looking awesome now. Okay, so this was the automation for it. And all we did was basically set a logistical sorter to sort all the items here. The rest of them go back in here. And you can see this thing's worked pretty well. We have a ton of the shards. It's it definitely works. I will never need these now, honestly, because I have everything I want. But still, very cool to automate, very fun. And so if we take a look at us now, we're looking pretty awesome. And you know what? Let's do this too. We can get rid of the backpack as far as I know too. There we go. Okay. And should we get rid of the boots too? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Nice. We look pretty cool, I think. I think we're looking pretty sweet here now. But I think that's going to be it for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you never miss out on a future one, as they come out every Monday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I suspect when I'm editing this episode, it's going to end up being a longer one because there was a lot of putzing around doing stuff. So hopefully if you guys bared with me for that, it wasn't too bad. And I appreciate you guys sticking through it. But again, hopefully you enjoyed today's episode, and I will talk to you guys later. Oh my God. It actually worked on the first try. Even with all these stupid blocks in here, it actually worked. Whew. Yep, just sitting here, creepily watching bees breed. Guess that's where I am in life right now.